Hello everybody, and welcome to a very special video that I am doing in celebration of International Asexuality Day. And if you didn't know that was a thing, don't worry, because I didn't know it was a thing until a couple of years ago where my housemate literally said, "Happy Ace Day, Will," and I was like, oh, that's a thing? Great! I didn't know. So, in order to celebrate the fact that, asexuality has been so successful that we have our own day now, and before we continue our conquest of the rest of the Gregorian calendar, I'd like to show off some representation that we have, because I feel Ace Rep is few and far between, and I really want to show off something that did it really, really well. So this everybody, is The Outer Worlds, a sci-fi adventure created by Obsidian Entertainment, and can I just say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, guys. It's so incredibly rare to find asexual characters in any form of fiction, and the fact that they went to the trouble of not only including one in The Outer Worlds, but also making her incredibly well written has made me very, very happy. So, with all of that said, let's dive in to The Outer Worlds. So, the character in question is Parvati Holcomb over here.
Sorry,
Good luck, Captain.
Who is introduced to us, literally apologizing. Oh my god, is this a character that was tailor-made for me? Yeah, grew up in a very isolated community, was a mechanic there, kind of green, and not used to space travel.
Captain. Hey, Captain. I'm in space. I never thought I'd be able to say that.
I love how excited she is about this whole world. It's just fantastic.
That's not the point.
But yeah, innocence tends to be something that comes across with quite a lot of asexual characters, because I think it comes with a sort of like unspoken purity thing. But we'll refute that as we go, and as will be established, Parvati is more complicated than that. So innocence is fine, you know. Sometimes, as is the old saying, tropes are tools, and while that is a fairly consistent trope of ace representation,
right this way.
while it is a consistent trope of ace representation, it is not a damning one. So we're just going to jump ahead quickly to the next part of our quest on Groundbreaker. So the focus of Parvati's quest is Groundbreaker, which is this large ship/trading outpost, which is in the Halcyon system.
Are those XF411s? And an old Yakita 37? You think they'd let me peek at the power plant?
The board would like to remind
So yeah, Parvati geeking out about tech there, always happy to see that. But the bulk of her personal quest will focus on Junlei Tennyson over here. She's the chief of Groundbreaker, and we'll see a little bit of her character now.
Junlei Tennyson. I'm captain around here, but chief to my friends. Hope you don't mind the formal introduction. Groundbreaker doesn't see many visitors.
Nice place you got here, Chief.
No, it isn't. It's a mess. But it's my mess, so I'll take the compliment. Just so we understand each other, I'm the final word on the ship. The Mardits, the crew, the engineers, their family. I hope there won't be any problems while you're visiting.
I'll try not to start any fights, but I might have to end some.
Ain't that always the way? So what brings you to Groundbreaker? I'm curious, even though 9 times out of 10 the answer's just passing through.
So, just passing through.
Statistics don't lie.
So, in nice contrast to Parvati's personality here we can see Junlei is, while still quite mechanically focused, as you can tell by the sort of smudges of grease and the fact she introduces herself as an engineering chief first and a captain second, she contrasts with her by being quite formal, very prim, very proper. So we can see there are a couple of different things.
We see a lot of the same faces coming and going. Most of them board spies and corporate sprats. Makes it hard to trust outsiders. You seem different, so welcome aboard.
Thank you kindly. Parvati, you wanted to talk to Junlei? Go ahead.
What? I didn't think you just...
Parvati, is it? That's a lovely name. What can I do for you?
I was just thinking, I haven't got much experience working with actual, real spaceships, Miss Junlei. Chief Junlei.
Junlei is fine.
Go on.
Okay. Since you run a whole space station, I was wondering if... Well, maybe you could teach me some things. I could message you later, maybe?
I'd be happy to make the time, Parvati. You can ask me anything.
Wow, great. I'll do that then. Messages. Later. Oh, your name's pretty too. I should have said sorry. I like it. Honest. Sorry.
Nice job, Parvati.
Couldn't have done it without your moral support, Captain.
Now, if there's nothing else, there are other parts of the ship begging for my attention.
Jesus, okay. There was no call for that. But yeah, I like how flustered Parvati is there. Very, very human, very, very nice, but sort of like geeking out over various things. It's nice. But we'll pay back to that.
Where are we headed?
Oh, before we get to that, Parvati, what was that back at Junlei's?
Well, I didn't expect her to be so tall. And did you see the size of her arms?
Sounds like you have a crush.
What? No. Maybe? I don't... It's like somebody reached into my head and pulled out what I didn't know I wanted. You know how hard it is to find anybody who likes working with tools in a little town like Edgewater?
Okay, so two things I really like about that from the very beginning. First of all, I really like the fact that Parvati has a sense of aesthetic attraction to her, because one of the main misconceptions that comes across with a lot of asexual people is that there is no interest in anything physical whatsoever, and that's not really true. It can be true, but asexuality in general is a whole spectrum, and that's without even going into the romantic side of things, of aromantic and all of the different caveats there. But I like that Parvati immediately says, like, I like the size of her arms, and I like the way she's sort of like composed, because it speaks to a sense of aesthetics. Asexual people tend to have preferences for that kind of thing. And again, with the purity thing I was talking about earlier, there is a misconception that is sort of like, oh, we don't see physical appearance at all. No, not at all. Asexual people are perfectly capable of appreciating physical appearance, and we can be very, very, we can have preferences in that regard. I've gone on track record as saying I tend to be attracted to people with white hair. It doesn't translate specifically to a desire to have sex or do anything like that. The sense of aesthetics might just be like, oh, that's pretty, and then it moves on, or it's like, oh, you're really pretty and I want to kiss and do other things, and that may well be as far as it goes, but there's a lot of different preferences there. The second thing that I liked there was that Parvati said, maybe I don't know.
What? No. Maybe?
Because that's another thing about asexual relationships that makes it's incredibly hard to parse sometimes. I have feelings for this person, but I have no idea what they are. A lot of the time, if you ask most allisexual people, in my experience, this may well be completely off, they will say, what's the difference between romantic and platonic love? And people say, oh, it's the sexual attraction to someone, or the desire to do certain things. But once you remove that, it becomes harder to specifically delineate. And it's an emotional spectrum, don't get me wrong, and there is a very clear, I think, emotional distinction. Or I should say, there clearly is an emotional distinction, but it's not always entirely clear what the distinction is. Because what is the difference between romance and friendship? And if you really have strong affection for someone, is it not enough that they are just friends that you maybe you do stuff with rather than being a direct partner? So it complexifies relationships a little bit and becomes trickier, and they kind of tap into that a little bit here, which I quite like. Sounds like you're not entirely sure how you feel.
I just met her. How could I be? Alls I know is, I want to talk with her more. Did you see how everybody on Groundbreaker listens to Junlei? She's just, here's how to fix it. And they trust her. It's just, she's calm and knows what to do. I wish I was half so confident.
Okay, we'll talk about this later. And by talk about it later, I of course mean we're going to talk about it now. So this is a little ways later on where they've been talking for a little while, and she's got some engineering tips from her, and they've been having a couple of conversations.
Hey, Captain. Can I get your temperature on something real quick?
Yeah, sure thing.
So, Junlei and I have been talking some. Through messages? I got him here on my datapad, and well, she sent me a poem. One she wrote her own self, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I should read into it. Because poems are all symbolic and such, right? It's not so good. But real sweet.
So another two things I like there. Number one, I like that they didn't make Junlei someone who is absolutely perfect. I just love the little touch of, so Junlei's poetry is terrible and she's bad at expressing feelings, because so often with romantic fiction in general, you get, I really want this person and they're perfect and unattainable and I'll never be good enough for them. And as the legendary movie Stardust once said, you're doing all this work to prove that you love them, but what are they doing to prove they love you? So it's a nice little back and forth. The other layer of it I like is that, so the question that comes up a lot of the time, I imagine in the writers' rooms and in a lot of people's lives, is how do asexual people express intimacy without the physical aspect? Because there are physical things you can do, but sometimes you want to have more to it. And this is a nice one. Parvati really values poetry and the sort of intent behind it. So that's nice. I like the little detail there. Comes from the heart, you'd say.
Oh, law. That's what's got me spooked. I don't rightly know. It's about this engine that's been shaking itself apart. Then this lady mechanic comes by and lays one hand on it. And the trouble goes away. It sings. I don't want to get too hopeful, but I'm wondering if maybe she's the engine and I'm the lady? It's a real romantic poem. It made my chest hurt, kinda.
Sounds like she likes you.
I don't know where it's leading yet, or if I'm misinterpreting. I'm not much interested in physical stuff. Never have been. Leastways, not like other folks seem to be. It's not that I can't, I just don't care for it.
And there we go. That's the confession. I like that as well. It's just throw it into everyday conversation. Sometimes it's good to explore it and really make a big thing of it if it's something that the character's been struggling with. But that's not Parvati. She's already come to terms with what her sexuality is. So the next step is figuring it out. And that's something I think is actually quite unique about the situation we have in the Outer Worlds. Is the vast majority of Ace Rep I've encountered, so for example like Sex Education and Legends of Tomorrow, both have characters that don't know what they are yet. They said, I don't want this, but I don't know what it means. And then an external character will come in and say, have you heard about asexuality? This might describe the feelings you're going through. Which is valuable, I think, because it being so underrepresented means that a lot of people have never encountered it. A lot of people question whether or not they are, if it's valid or genuine, or if there's something wrong with them. So it's nice to have those moments of coming out and saying, this might be what you are, and going off and exploring that. But what is underdone, I think, in a lot of cases, is saying, okay, now that I've come to terms with it, and now that I've accepted this is a part of me, this is a core part of who I am, what do I do with it from here? How do I make relationships with people work as a result? Which is quite a nice touch.
It's been a problem in the past. The folk who wanted to be with me back in the Vale, they said I was cold.
Yeah. So I've never personally had someone say you're cold, but trying to figure out how to engage with people, and people having bizarre reactions to asexuality. Oh yeah, that comes up all the time, and questioning whether or not you can actually be in relationships with people. Yeah, that's, yeah, that hits close to home. Folks have said the same thing about me.
I'm sad to hear it, Captain. You seem plenty warm to me, in your way.
I like to think so.
But yeah, don't feel great, does it? When folks start implying you're a little different from an automechanical, you start to wonder. I guess I just needed to talk. I'm feeling a touch better. Thanks for hearing me out, Captain.
My pleasure.
I actually had another message from Junlei. I just couldn't work up the courage to open it. But I'm gonna change that. Right now. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Talking about old friends, got to thinking... Isabel? Who's Isabel?
Everything okay?
They were... close, Captain. Like, more than friends close.
They were close, not anymore.
I don't know. Junlei talked about them like it was past, but how far in the past? 10 years? Last week? Captain, I'm feeling all mixed up right now. Could we maybe head to the Groundbreaker? Get some drinks at that bar there? The Lost Hope?
If that's what you want, next time we hit Groundbreaker, drinks are on me.
Thanks, Captain. I'll be ready.
And why not? We're gonna do it now. Yeah. Again, one thing I just like about this companion quest in general is that it's someone just freaking out over a very natural thing. I like someone, and I want to tell them how I feel, but I don't know how to deal with that, and I've got a bunch of things that might make that a problem.
Hey, be careful
and
with
that
those
is a very real thing whenever you enter into a sort of relationship situation as an asexual person. It's just, how do you approach it? What do I do? Is this the right thing to be even trying to do? So it's tough, and I salute this game for actually tackling that head on. Another thing Parvati mentioned there was when people think you are no different from an auto-mechanical.
When folks start implying you're a little different from an auto-mechanical, you start to wonder.
It's interesting because, again, it ties into the coldness point we discussed earlier, but also a lot of Ace Rep tends to be focused on you get a lot of aliens and robots. That's the main thing that seems to come up in its discourse, because humanity tends to be conflated with sexuality a lot of the time. It's very frustrating, where in Data's quest to become more human, he must enter into romantic relationships and have sex, and you get this with Cole in Dragon Age as well, and that if you go the route of, spoiler alert, trying to make him more human, there's like, the possibility of romantic relationships has opened up for you, Cole. And I'm like, that doesn't make you more human. It's an aspect of humanity, and it may well be something that a lot of humans deal with. But at the same time, it's not what makes someone human. It's sort of isolating. And when you don't have those kind of sexual or romantic feelings, it's tough. And it becomes a bit of a struggle. And I kind of like this because so much of this narrative is setting Parvati up as, I am the outsider in my own community, and I'm trying to find my people in space. And something about someone who values human connections that much going through this and being asexual, it's really affirming, and it's really encouraging to see someone have that arc.
So, how's this work? Do we get a table? Stand in a corner?
Parvati has no idea how bars work, and to be fair, neither do I, so I'm just gonna have a chat. Yeah.
Okay, so what are we drinking? You're the expert.
Alright, call me out, game.
Oh, and don't worry on the price. I got this. Let's just do it proper.
Okay. You sure you want to do this? You seem nervous.
Oh, no, that's on account of my not being able to sleep lately. Makes my hands all twitchy, you know? I've just been lying awake, thinking about what Junlei said, and feeling my heart shake.
I'd start with beer, but you said in Edgewater the smell made you sick, so how about wine?
Oh, wow! You remembered! Well, that's fruit and such, right? Okay, wine it is.
Can I just give some props to Ashley Birch for a second? There's so much warmth in Parvati, and just there's no part of her character that's just not being sold by all this. So, Ashley Birch, the bajillion to 1 odds that you watch this. You are a legend, and thank you so much.
Bottoms up.
I'm no expert on wine, but ain't you supposed to drink that stuff with your little finger up?
You are, that's very important.
Wow, this is really kind of nice, actually. Who'd have guessed old fruit could taste so good? Oh, Captain, I'm pining for Junlei something fierce. What am I doing?
Enjoying a drink with your friends?
Yeah. I guess we are that, huh? Friends. Friends give each other counsel, right? What do you think I should do about Junlei? Because I feel about as aimless as an automech with a busted nav chip.
You want to know what I think? I think you should write what you want to say down on your hand. Always worked for me.
Start by telling me why her message got you so unsettled.
Well, she talked about another girl, right? Isabel. Mentioned her by name and everything, like she wanted me to know. Maybe I've been making a right fool of myself this whole time. Maybe she's not interested after all.
What did she actually write in the message? You haven't said.
It was real long and rambly. She was telling me a story about her dad, how a lady named Isabel did all sorts of things to try to win his favor. This Isabel lady never quite managed to get her dad's approval, but they carried on anyways. Made something good out of a bad situation. Then it all went down the tubes. Do you think Junlei still has feelings for her?
What's this really about?
I just got a lot of feelings, Captain, and they're all climbing up my throat. I need another drink. Right now. Before I lose my nerve.
Let's get you some water.
Come on, Captain. I'm here to drink. Okay, maybe you're right. I am a little woozy.
You had one.
Hydration. Here I come.
You had one drink.
Good thinking, boss. You just saved Parvati a whole lot of trouble.
Queen of the lightweights.
Shush you.
I'm sorry.
Captain, I want to talk to Junlei all the time. Even about silly things, but I'm so scared.
About what?
Everything? I got a solar system's worth of terrifying questions swirling around my head. Does she think I'm as pretty as I think she's handsome? What if she doesn't like me? What if she does? What if she's still got feelings for that lady, Isabel? What if we get together and she gets bored of me?
Okay, the bored of me question. Yeah. Okay, that's tricky. So this is very relatable stuff, obviously. I mean, I think we've all been there, the sort of the jealousy emotions and things like that. Even outside of romantic relationships, it's tough. But there's an easy way to get answers to all those questions.
There's nothing easy about spilling your guts to the person who's got your heart in their hands. You know I'm not interested in physical affection. Well, it's tripped folks up in the past. Folks I thought cared about me for me. What if she's not okay with that? What if she is, but then later, she's not?
Shit, man. I mean, that's the question, really. Because that's the nature of asexual relationships, I find. It's compromise. It's finding a way, and that's true of all relationships, to be fair, is just finding a way that you get what you want, that you both are there for each other, and you fulfill each other's sort of emotional, physical needs, whatever they might be. And that's the thing with asexuality. So I'm really glad this game decided to tackle was that question. What if she's okay now, and later she's not? Because you never know how much you value something until you have to give it up. And, you know, I know plenty of alloasexual people who really value the sexual part of their relationship. They say, like, yes, it brings us closer, it's a great way of expressing feelings, and if I can't have that, then it would call things into question. So you ask the question, you know, where do they find that if not from you? Do you compromise on who you are, and do you do the physical stuff that you may be willing to do but you may not like? And then you ask the question of, will someone else do it better? Or you end up asking yourself whether or not you find you can bring yourself to do that, or whether you are the one who should be making all the compromises there, or in the certain cases of just the idea of doing it so repulses you that you don't think you ever could. And ultimately it comes down to a question of being confident in who you are and what you want, and knowing for sure that this relationship is what you want, and that you are who you are in it. Because that's what a relationship should be, ideally, at the end of the day. It's just two people who are themselves being together to be more than that. I don't know. I don't have the answers to this shit. But I don't know. It's something I like to think about. I obviously think about it a lot, but obviously I can't say that in the context of a game. So thankfully, what I do get to do is press this button. We have that in common, you know. I'm not interested in physical affection either.
You're not? You're like me?
I've seen this scene a lot in making this video and sort of figuring out my thoughts on it, but that line, "you're like me," that always gets me. Because it's not something you hear a lot, and God, it's not something you hear a lot. It's in fiction or in real life, and it's just nice, you know? It's just nice. But the other really cool thing this game does is it has the line where you get to identify as aromantic as well. I don't got much use for romance neither. Now, I am not aromantic, but that is a group that, if anything, has to get next to no representation. I can't even think of any off the top of my head. Outside of maybe Loveless, which is a book from an asexual perspective. Highly recommend it if people haven't read it, but this was really cool to just let us do that. But anyway, sure am.
So we're kin-like. That makes me, well, unaccountably happy, Captain. It's a lonely thing being different like this.
Yeah.
So, feeling how you do, what if she really does like me and then she changes her mind?
You can't control how people react to you, even the people you care about.
What do you mean, Captain?
The only thing you can control is you.
So if I'm doing my very best to be kind and open-hearted, I shouldn't worry how she thinks of me? Gosh, I don't know that I got that in me. Sometimes I feel real mean inside, Captain. I think ungenerous thoughts.
Yeah, we all do. There's something to work on then.
Yeah. I like the way you put that, like, it's okay to want to be better for her, and not impossible to try. Well, Captain, this has been a whole lot. I got just... wow. So much to think about.
So you could ask her out?
Oh gosh, I don't know, Captain. Do you think I should?
You're still unsure? Yes, just ask her!
All right. There's no need to strip your screws over it. Okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask June out.
Sure, it's a pet name.
Just as soon as we get back to the ship. I mean, probably. Eventually. Thanks for hearing me out and giving me counsel. And, well, for being a friend. It means a whole lot. You're good people, Captain.
You know something, Parvati? You ought to come drinking with the crew more often.
Huh. All right. Thank you, guys. You're real good friends, you know that? I wish there was a place we could all live quiet together. Come on, let's go.
I love that little interaction. I love that quest. A couple of things, really neat things they did there. First of all, something you never see, or almost never see in any RPG, is the, what do you mean by that, Captain? I don't know, it just makes you feel like a participant in the conversation as a player, which writing-wise, I love. It makes you feel like you're a real person. You can give your own perspective.
What was your family like, Felix?
But, we'll get to that little dialogue bit in a second, because I do have thoughts on it. But also, just a couple of other things I loved about that. First of all, the dialogue option that didn't appear. At no point in that interaction do you try to talk Parvati out of her sexuality. And I love that. I love that, because for all of Parvati's awkwardness, that's a core. That's something that she is sure about. That's her. And that matters. That matters, someone valuing that highly. And the game not going the obvious route that such frustrating shows have done, of saying asexuality is wrong, it's a problem that you need to get over. And no one says, maybe you'll like it if you try it. Nope. Maybe it's something you need to fix. No. It is just, be sure of who you are. And I love that. And I love that they gave that to a character that values personal connections that highly. It's building family units, building like crews and friendships and connecting with people. I love that because it just shows how diverse the spectrum of connection and possibility is, where so much is just everything revolves around the romantic relationship and everything else is secondary, and it harkens back to something I've always held to be true, which is just because a love is not romantic does not mean it is less important. I love that. It's just a well-written, well-crafted interaction, and I thank everyone to death for including it, but there's a little more evidence of Parvati just... of what Parvati values in their conversation with Felix here.
Did you ever know him?
I never knew him. I was a stowaway. That's what they call orphans who grow up in the back bays.
Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. I must have been lonesome.
Come on, Parvati, who you talking to? Imagine me pining after my family. Yeah, I suppose that was a touch lonesome. But hey, look at me now. I made it. I got a ship and everything.
Out in the Charybdis belt.
You ever stop to wonder?
Everyone has a place they belong. I sort of love that vibe. The other thing I find interesting about that quest is at no point do you ever try and muscle in and hit on Parvati, which I kind of like. It would have been like, it would be nice to have an asexual romance option in a game, but you know, the fact is they externalized it in this case, and I'm actually fine with that because it's well crafted and it suits the characters.
Hey, Captain. I hope I wasn't too much bother at the bar. I did have fun, and I tried some things I never would have otherwise. Some of the drinks we tried I even liked. I guess it's not all disgusting.
Just wait till you get to
And I don't feel it today. I guess that water must have worked. I'm glad I had you.
You had one drink! One drink! Anyway, did you talk to Junlei?
I messaged Junlei when we got back, and she replied super quick. Okay. I was awake half the night, thinking about what I sent, anxious to see what you said. I reread my message in the morning, and it was unclear. I was drinking when I sent it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the courage. Also, sorry for the typos.
Okay, not bad so far.
I've ruined things in the past because I didn't say things I should have, like, I've met someone who's become special to me. I want to be honest with her, so if she feels the same about me, there won't be any surprises.
So Junlei does like you, and she said it in the most awkward way possible.
Oh, isn't she sweet? Like one of those two-bit romances where one soul's all stiff and formal, and I should be glad to perhaps take hold of your hand, miss. I ought to go write her back. I mean, I already did. Twice. But anyhow, thanks for taking me out, Captain.
It's just sweet. It's just sweet. Now, they do go on a date later on. Suffice it to say, the date itself is just a little bit of banter, and they do bring up the line saying, we talked about it, and we're going to figure it out. And that's really the important step in figuring out the relationship is, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to figure it out. Honestly, my dream for Ace representation at this point is to actually have a show or a game or a story in which it's not just about characters getting into the relationship, it's about characters making it work. Kind of like in the same way that Jed and Abby in The West Wing or Jake and Amy in Brooklyn Nine-Nine go, where they face crises and they have personal struggles they deal with, but the relationship itself never feels like it's under threat. They compromise, and they discuss their problems, and they work through their issues, and the entire time they remain flawed, interesting people, but they work through it, and the relationship sort of continues as a result. So that would be my dream for it, but I mean, God, that whole interaction is just brilliantly handled, and again, I love that character and the vibe of just people finding the place they belong. If there's a message to take away from the LGBT movement and from International Ace Day, I would like it to be that. It's just, people are complicated, everyone feels love and affection in their own ways, and everyone has a place they belong. So, Thank you to Obsidian for making the Outer Worlds. Thank you to Ashley Birch again for just lending so much warmth and energy to Parvati and for just nailing those feelings. And thank you to all of you for watching this little experimental video. I might do more of these if people are interested, of just reacting to Ace Rep in fiction. But for the time being, thank you very much for joining me on the Outer Worlds, and I will see you all soon for the next project.